You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. The chrisvossshow.com. You like how I swing the arm there? It's kind of operatic. Operatic, is that a word, or did I just poetically license something else? Operatic. That's the new, that we're renaming the podcast to the Operatic Podcast. And basically what it's going to do, it's going to be a new podcast where I'm just going to sing the whole podcast. You like that? I just did this. I just made this up. I'm going to sing the whole podcast. So you've heard me for 15 years now, here in about 10 more days, 15 years, singing the Chris Voss Show part. It was a bit we did like, 10 years ago. And we did it for a week where I just sung it because I was doing a homage to Howard Stern in the NBC thing. And then people started calling in from like Canada around the nation, like, you got to keep doing that bit. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's stupid. And they're like, no, it's really cool. And we love how you guys run up to me at shows and be like, the Chris Voss Show. And I'm always like, security run, and I have to keep guards on me when I go out, like, those kind of Secret Service type people. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I don't have to do that. And no one likes me that much anyway. No, maybe I'll do a podcast where I just do the whole. Does anybody have a singing podcast? Like I grew up when I was a kid. I'll bring Victoria in, who's our guest here, just for a quick second, and then we'll get to her bio. But Victoria, you remember when we were young, about 5 years ago, we were in our 20s, and there used to be all these shows where they would just be singing, like Seven Brothers, Seven Brides and stuff, right? Remember when all the shows were singing, even like the Westerns were singing? And
5 years ago, when I was 20, I'm in the Soviet Union, my friend. I remember a whole different kind of music.
Oh, neat. Night. I don't know. I don't know. There you go. Well, that's an interesting story. We should get to that. But there used to be like all these singing movies all the time. And so I think someone needs to make a podcast where everybody's got to sing. So like I would sing like, how are you today? And my guests would have to sing and they'd be like, I'm fine, Chris. And the whole podcast is that. Does it sound awful yet? I think I'm losing the audience here.
I don't know. I think it's beautiful.
Oh, I'm going to hit the floor. We got to put that on TikTok. So there you go. There's a possibility here. Anyway, guys, as always, we do the crazy random ramble, and that's our lead in to do the plugs and shaming for you to go to itunes.com/Chris Voss. Give us 5-star review over there. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss 1 at TikTok. Holy crap, man. We actually put like one of the rambles up in the intro to the show. It's like got almost 10,000 views over there on TikTok. People like it, and we're posting up people that appear on the show. Today we have an amazing woman and author and brilliant mind on the show. As always, we have some of the smartest people on the Chris Voss Show because I'm the dumb one, so these people make me look good. She's an 8 times internationally best-selling author, and we're going to be talking about her, everything she does, and everything else. Victoria Rader is on the show. She's a possibility coach, founder of YU2 Shine and Possibility Publishing. And also she has a great singing voice, and she's from Russia. So we'll get to some of the deets on that here.
Ukraine, my friend.
Ukraine, I'm sorry.
I'm about to run off. As we said, don't be naked. It's about to happen. It is happening.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's not from Russia. She's from Ukraine. Here, okay. She's from Ukraine. We'll cut that in edit. So there you go. I grew up with the old USSR. That's how I grew up, hiding under my desk from the nuclear bomb. So I come from that mentality that, everything west of London is USSR or something. That's not true. Anyway, moving on with the jokes. Victoria Rader joins us on the show. She is a PhD, possibility coach, transformation speaker, and founder of YU2 Shine, who empowers coaches, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers to manifest miracles by uncovering and solving underlying hidden problems and patterns with innovative possibilities, reigniting passion and expanding peace, purpose, and prosperity. She's an 8 times internationally best-selling author who is globally recognized along with Brene Brown?
Yeah.
Richard Branson and others for creative and innovative ideas and adaptability in business, contribution to sustainability and mental health problems, mental health projects, which clearly I'm suffering from this morning, and more coffee, please. And Korea Award, Global Award by Brains Magazine, which I have no brains. Welcome to the show, Victoria. How are you?
I'm good. You've just given the place for a $1 billion idea, and I mean it. If you're tuning in right now, I'm going to give you an idea that if you implement is going to become $1 billion idea. It's a possibility. You know how Chris went through subscribe here. If you have brains for the app creation, which I do not, go ahead and create an app that a client can enter all of their handles and then give only one reference. And when somebody goes to that one reference, it subscribes them to all the handles. If you're first to market with that, you are a new billionaire. I would like a very humble 1% and moving on.
There you go. I should also mention she's the author of, we mentioned she's author of 8 different books, but her latest book we'll be talking about today came out June 24th, 2022, Prosper Me, the 35 Universal Laws to Make Money Work for You. So welcome to the show, Victoria. Now that we fully have you on the show and introduced, give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, thank you. shine.com. Come, join, learn, expand, prosper. Everyone's welcome.
There you go. So let's get into the book. We'll lead off with that a little bit. What motivated you to write this latest book?
Well, I can give you a long-winded true answer or a very short one.
Just give us a short lie.
Your choice, short lie. This is what we're best at, after all. I came up with it on my own, and I'm a self-made person. That would be the generational lie. The true answer is that the book came as a result of first an app application that later became a video program, and people wanted to get hands on something practical that they could turn pages on. And so the journey of that book was from the app to the program to the book. And now to the coaching program. Yep.
There you go. And so give us like a 30,000 overview of what's inside the book and how it helps people.
This might be a limiting belief. I don't believe everybody is born to be a billionaire, but I do believe everybody is born to prosper. I'm passionate about it. And I use the book, the teachings in the book, and the principles in the book as a way for people to remember that. If I were to ask anybody, and I have clients who are multimillionaires and clients who are pro bono that are broke, and I would ask the same question, who is rich? You know what the answer always is for everybody? Somebody who has more money than you. That's who's rich.
We're that steeped in money as a measurement.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting? And then the other thing is outside of money is that somebody who has more than I do. So none of us proudly realize I'm rich. I'm breathing, got a body. Mm-hmm. I'm rich. And it's just
So can I clarify something? Even the people that you work with that are hugely successful, that are multimillionaires, they still don't think they're rich and think somebody has more money than them, and they're more worried about that then.
Yep.
Wow.
That is the disease that is keeping us in lack. That is the disease. Another one that is so cool to see, and you can kind of measure where you are. When you look at a dollar, if the second you say it's just a dollar, you're in poverty mindset because it's a dollar. It's a dollar. Mm-hmm. It is just a token of your appreciation of ability to prosper. So the book is 35 laws. Why the universal? Because you can apply them to anything. And for me, prosperity, it is every area of your life. So you can use every law to prosper in your relationship, in your finances, yes, but in your health. And then as you study each law, there are little steps of application, and there is a powerful affirmation to start shifting into joyful performance of those laws. They either work for you or against you.
There you go. I think I heard, I think it was Anthony Robbins who said money is just paper with dead presidents printed on it. And it's not your true aspect in life. I mean, somebody earlier this week said money is just energy on the show. That was kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, you really put it on the nose that people really have almost too much, maybe worship is the right word, or regard towards money, and it seems to have more power over them and their joy in life, or their potential joy in life.
I think I agree that they're not three separate resources, which is time, energy, and money, which what we've come to believe. There is one resource, and that is energy. And how you apply your energy will define your relationship with money and with time. And so if you apply your energy to serve relentlessly and joyfully, money follows and purpose finds you. If you spend your energy on complaining, comparing, and criticizing, money leaves and energy is drained. It's that simple. So money is a magnifier of your energy. It magnifies. If you're a jack-sized asshole, you become even bigger one with more money. If you're a humble person, guess what? Nobody sees your money because that money is serving humanity. So money doesn't change you. It doesn't control you. It just gets you out of the hiding fully. The more money, the more people get to see who you are.
That's very true. I grew up poor, and I think we've talked about this journey a little bit. I grew up poor, and I wasn't the best person, and probably should have seen therapy when I was young. A little bit of childhood trauma going on, and the one thing I found about money is, even when you become successful and have money, it seems to amplify the worst parts of your behavior, or your personality, or things that you haven't resolved yet with the psychologist. And so it instead of like solving your problems, you're like, if I get money, I won't have so many problems, and I'll probably be a better person. And it just seems to amplify and support some of the horrible aspects that we haven't fixed of our personality. Is that true or not? Or is it just me?
I tend to agree with that, Chris, completely. And I think there are two golden nuggets that I found in what you were saying. One is if-then paradigm. I think most of us live a whole life being paralyzed by the if-then structure. As a matter of fact, I find that to be the most limiting subconscious pattern. As soon as then, if-then, as long as you have that in your mind, you're not moving forward and you're struggling, right? That's just the case. And the second one is with money being a magnifier. A lot of you mentioning, I've gone through trauma, right? I've had things I had to heal. And I believe a lot of us actually remain broke because we're not ready to heal. And we don't want our laundry to be aired out. We don't think it is possible for us. We don't know how to heal. And so we remain broke because at least it gives us an excuse to say, this is why I can't heal. If I had money, I would go get help. That is that, paradigm. I have met a person just yesterday, actually. One of our projects, we're doing the Sober Soul project for people that have overcome, addiction. And I was talking to this human being. She was sobbing. I was sobbing. Everything. Sexual abuse as a child, extreme abuse, extreme abuse of drugs as a result, alcohol, meth, just the life of overcoming, desire to die, all of that. But at the end of it all, the only thing that shifted everything, she went from then to now. I can't take it anymore. So I'm going to do what I can do now. That's the way I cycle.
There you go. And it's something everyone should look into to, understand. I like the if when I get money in the future, then I'll be happy. When I get this in the future, when I get married, I'll be happy. When I find the love of my life, I'll be happy. When I get the right job or career, I'll be happy. You bring up a good point. We work from that mentality when really all you have is now, the time that you're present and stuff. So tell us about your journey. It sounds like you came from Ukraine, and were you born and raised there? And what was your hero's journey that got you to this point?
I would love to share the story and define very clearly that I think the beauty for where I'm coming from is raw awareness of every day being a hero journey, right? Like I think it's so easy to be blinded by accolades, accomplishments, and the titles and say now nothing happens in her life. And I said, I've stopped believing this whole beautiful thing. Things were falling apart, and then the miracle happened, and now happily ever after. Because with the war in Ukraine, every morning I wake up and I have to do the hero journey for the day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I think if we're not doing the hero journey for the day, we're not growing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're blinded to the fact that we're now stuck at a new level of comfort. And so for me, I grew up in the former Soviet Union, and I say I'm really, really grateful for that because I was stripped of all external freedom.
Oh, wow.
Right? I couldn't choose which city to live in. I had propiska, which is a stamp in your passport, local passport, because you didn't have international passport because you couldn't leave the country.
Yeah.
So you were stamped into a geographic place. When you got a degree, you only got a degree. Only 5% of us actually went to higher education. So, but if you got a degree, you only could get a degree that supported that 5-year economic plan, and your brain had to be aligned with that. And you were placed by the loving government into where we needed to fill the hole, right? And so because I'm petite and I am flexible, I automatically was invited and forced into rhythmic gymnastics, right? So when you're stripped of external freedom, you have an incredible luxury to identify, find, rescue in, and thrive through internal freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And very early on, my parents would sit me down and have that conversation when everybody's in prison,
Really?
right? Freedom only exists in your brain. They would sit me down and they'd say, all of this that you see outside, you have no control over. Freedom is in not letting it control you. Wow.
Wow.
And so understanding that true freedom is not letting the external damage or control the internal, over time shatters the external and aligns it with what you feel internally. So as a kid in the country I couldn't leave, I would sit and dream and feel myself on the Great Wall of China standing there and being at the Taj Mahal in India. And now 48 countries later, because it is still a hobby to travel the world and see the world, I can look anybody in the world and say, get free inside, get patient and faithful, and work your ass off, and the outside will shift. It can't be no other way.
There you go. And it's great that, the fall of the USSR and people being able to travel and do what they want. It was growing up watching all that, and you would hear about people that would try and escape the country. I think, we have that in North Korea now and probably some other countries. It's interesting to me, but one of the things I've always found fascinating is people like, Nelson Mandela and other people who can be imprisoned. And for them, their prison might be a little bit more confined than one that you were growing up in, but it's just still prison in and of the same. And having that stoic sort of mindset where they can still be free in their head and they can still, I was reading just recently that, there were little things that they would do to exercise their freedom. So when the guard says walk, they would walk the way they wanted to. They would slow walk or fast walk. They would make little choices to exercise their little freedoms, to be like, you can imprison me, but you can't imprison my mind, what you spoke of. And I've always thought that's an amazing thing in human beings and potential, that even though we've endured some of the horrors of history, that the human mind is still there. And even in the most freest society that we live in here in America, the external world, and sometimes we develop our own prisons that we build of our own minds, our own self-limiting beliefs, right? So even though we live in the freest world, we've talked about money being a self-limiting belief. Sometimes we build our own prisons with our mind, and we're stuck in them, even though we're free externally. Yeah. Well, there you go.
And I love Nelson Mandela. I love your example. Two things that come to mind: him saying that he found his freedom while in prison, of course, and creating the prototype of a free country, which nobody could see him doing as a president. But the second one that really ties, I think, the whole conversation for me is when he said, when he was leaving the prison, he looked back on the cell and he said, I understood that if I don't leave the resentment, the pain behind me, I will be taken out of prison, not in these words, but prison will not be taken out of me. And so he chooses to forgive. And so, in the universal laws, the last law is the law of forgiveness. And people say, what does forgiveness have with money? And I'm like, everything. There's a reason why Christ teaches on forgiving debts. There's a reason why forgiveness and money is tied up, because energy is energy. And forgiving is forgiving the crap that you carry away. So you are forgiving, giving space to something much better to come into your life. And it's a continual process. And he's lived it. He forgave the unfairness of life, which I think what we are in society right now are fighting against. We, instead of forgiving unfairness and giving space to new, fair, balanced, thriving society, we're trying to hold grudges to cancel each other. And it's fascinating. Fascinating.
There you go. That's an amazing paradigm. I'm going to write that one down and remember that. The word forgiving, instead of look at it as forgiving, hate of other people or your enemies just destroys you because it eats you alive inside. They live rent free in your head. And, you've got to move on and let go because they don't pay rent, eh? And, everyone's got to pay rent. So you help everyone with a lot of different things. Let's talk about entrepreneurs because we do a lot of that on the show. Looks like one thing you were a part of was one of my favorite authors, John Maxwell's. You were one of John Maxwell's leadership team founding partners. Let's talk about what's the relationship between universal law and laws and entrepreneurs.
So, I, in addition to John, I've had an incredible luxury of being mentored by, wonderful people. And one of them was Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor was a mindset and coach in Canada, kind of a giant in teaching individual prosperity and so forth. And and when I was coached by Bob, it was really fascinating to me because he taught the 6 mental faculties. And the concept was that we have 5 senses to perceive the world, right? I can smell, I can touch, I can taste, I can see, I can hear. If I'm lucky, I have all 5. And that's how I see the external world, okay? But the entrepreneurs, they're already living from within. So they're creating something that is not there, right? They are seeking to create. They perceive the world, but not in order to be dictated by it or controlled by it, but to see what they can create in response to it. And so my question was, how do we create? And he said, well, those are the 6 mental faculties. Mm-hmm. And those faculties are perception, imagination, intuition, memory, reason, and will. And he taught them starting with imagination. So over the years, I taught a lot of mindset for entrepreneurs. And I've come to realize that mindset is a set of those 6 mental faculties. And if they're balanced, if they're harmonized, if your intuition doesn't fight with your reason, which is very important for entrepreneurs, if they're balanced, you create and you thrive. So then the question became, how do you balance them? Mm-hmm. And that's where the study of universal laws came in. And, and then my PhD to support creating reality through metaphysical understanding of how reality comes into being. And so the universal laws are the principles that are applicable to every area of your life that are immutable. They cannot be changed. Gravity, you can hate it when you fall down. Your opinion of gravity is irrelevant to your experience of gravity. That's just what is. And so every universal law, whether in a physical expression, electricity, in musical or energetic expression, the law of resonance, it is unemotional and it works either for you or against you. Mm-hmm. When you learn the laws and you learn how to work with them, certain laws harmonize certain mental faculties. And by harmonizing mental faculties, you create a mindset that has the immense ability to be a creative entrepreneur with minimal damages. Not with no damages, it's still life with minimal damages.
There you go. Now you have something called the Empower-Me app. Tell us a little bit about that. It's available on the App Store and Google Play, so people can download it to their mobile devices.
You shouldn't have favorite children. It's mine.
There you go.
The app was created because there was a need I wanted to feel for me and couldn't find it applicably so. I've mentioned the grieving period. I've had a fascinating life with a lot of loss. I've started experiencing death at a very early age, 2.5, and with some periods of intensity where in 2013, I lost 11 people, one dying every month starting in February.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was learning, the power and the joy of life and being alive so that I can then convey it to others genuinely. through grieving processes. And I've always been seeking I'm a rapid person. I like to move through things. I don't like to dwell on something. And I was looking for something to help me. And not having found one, the app was originally created because it has 99 aspects of grief. So somebody who is rapid, who has things to do, but feels like, horrible inside, can go to the app, find one of its subsets that's called My Grief. When you shake the phone, it intuitively matches you with the hidden aspect of grief that is currently blocking you from creating the life you desire. Not only it names it, it gives you a visualization you can apply right away to start rewiring your brain for healing. And then the verbal affirmation that when you say, that's people's favorite little subset. So it started with My Grief, and then we added blessings, we added money laws to it, we've added questions. It's a fantastic app for a quick reshift and redirection of your mind. And we constantly add to it. The most recent addition were the 3-minute guided meditations. A lot of my clients are high-performing executives and entrepreneurs. The meditation is so key, but they do not have 4 hours or 40 minutes to meditate, or at least they don't believe they do. And so the app has 3-minute meditations that are life-changing and healing. So yes, it is my favorite child.
There you go. My blessings, my answer, my money, my grief, my freedom, and mini meds on, let's see, manifest with 3-minute long meditations. So those are some of the different aspects and features of the app. And you can get on the App Store and Google Play for iTunes App Store and Google Play for your Android device. And probably good to have because, anytime you're feeling maybe pressure or maybe you just want to wake up and have a good blessing or something, you can check out the app and get as it's spelled, your daily energy booster.
One of the aspects that's coming through is that I think we're all very tired because we don't remember how to regain energy. And one of the 3-minute apps is called From Drained to Powered Up. And that little 3-minute meditation, I hear the most from. Like when people first get the app, that's what we hear the most from. And what it does, it is a meditation that literally within 3 minutes identifies the source that drains you, disconnects you from it, and replugs you into the life-giving source. The shift is very powerful, and it is a 3 minute of your time. And so I love it. I genuinely love it.
There you go. Now, one aspect of throughout your branding and your title and your books is there's a little, when you say me, there's a little M and a capital E. Why is that?
I think that for us, it indicates who we are as beings on this planet at this time, because I cross over the etherical field, the spirituality with very practical daily grinding. That is how I describe myself as a person because I am matter, physical stuff, that does decay, that does shed the cells, little m, matter. But I'm also the big E of energy, the surge of energy that is going through me. I am mortal. I'm also eternal. I am material. I'm also essential. I'm manifesting for this material mortal survival, but I'm also expanding for the eternal essence, the energy that I am. And so when I say I am me, it's a reminder that there are 2 very distinct parts of who I am as a human being, that there's an eternal energy part. Energy is never created nor destroyed, but continually transmuted and translated. But there's also a material mortal matter. And the joy in life comes from daily surrender of your matter to your energy, of your mortal to your eternal, of your material to your essential, and of your manifesting to your expansive. And every coach, every product, and every book that we produce is one of the aspects of this journey of surrender to a more joyful life.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about some of the things that I find on your website here. There's different things you offer. Let's talk about the Empower Me Academy. What do you offer over there?
The Empower Me Academy is a subscription membership at 3 different levels. It was born in a very unique way. In December 2019, my seminars were selling out. I'm recording this out of my beautiful studio 5 minutes away from my home. It sits about 20 people comfortably. And all of a sudden, I was running out of space, and I had this very clear prompting guidance, whatever you call it. I call it the spirit's voice. You've got to take all your programs online. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. But then I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna, having fought that voice so much and having lost the fight every single life, I'm like, fine, I hear you, and I'm like grumbling all the way, but I'm following it. Long story short, this is December 2019. We launched the Academy on January 24, 2020. And by March, the world shuts down.
Oh,
and
wow.
my business is unaffected.
Wow.
Because over the 2 months, we have created and translated all of our coaching services, all of our subscription services, all of the seminars with full support online.
Wow.
And miracle happens. The people in the group say, wait a minute. It was not lost on them, right? It was not lost on them. And so it first became a phenomenal way of sport, and then it developed into a weekly different online sessions where every week, based on the week, I address one of the different aspects. The programs have been recorded and archived. It's a place of healing. It's a place for mindful entrepreneurs. It's a place to expand in every area of your life. And we've made it accessible and affordable to anybody in every walk of life based on what is the level of growth they're seeking. I know it's coming in right now is, there are 4 levels of development for every person in every aspect. The first one is survival. Then there's stability. Think of the baby, think of a business, think of a marriage, doesn't matter. First survival, then stability, then success and significance. So from survival to stability is change of habits.
Mm-hmm.
From stability to success, change of mindset. And from success to significance is change of heart. And so when you understand that, then our program is built that way. If somebody's in survival, they buy it at a survival level of aware me, and they develop a habit of personal growth and development. If they're ready for the mindset change, they go for the active me. And if they're really ready to change all of their reality by opening their heart, mind, and practices, then they get one-on-one coaching with abundant me.
There you go. And then you've got a few other things on the site here, individual sessions you do with people, seminars, and different products, like video programs and audio programs. Tell us about some of your seminars that you do and upcoming things.
The biggest focus we are putting on right now would be the quantum freedom, because we're going to channel all of the seminars through that as a cubicle. But all of our coaches are experts in their relative fields, and so they all do independent seminars through the site. And those that are members of Quantum Freedom get priority in registration. When I first became outwardly successful was when in 2007, I came back from Greece. I was homeschooling my kids. 2006, I was homeschooling my kids, young kids, 5 and 8. And I thought it was a great idea, because I love traveling, to start teaching them through traveling the world. So I came home, young mom, ambitious, big dreams. My husband sat me down and he said, honey, every time you swipe plastic, there's nothing attached to it. It's not like Ukraine. This is called credit, and we're now in debt. I'm glad you had a good educational experience in Greece. So, the rapid mover here, I'm like, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. I get online, 2007, and I Google, I swear, what is the fastest way to make money in America while homeschooling your kids? That's what I Google. Mm-hmm. And of course, at that point, the real estate, is flying off the shelves like cupcakes. So the girl here becomes a realtor. By 2008, when the market collapses and we enter the greatest recession up till, in my life in US for sure. So long story short, hire a coach, believe in coaching, play professional, semi-professional tennis. I believe in coaching. I hire a coach for real estate. By 2009, I don't work on Sundays. I homeschool my kids. I travel the world, and I'm the top 1% in the agents in US and Canada, and actually top 70 in my company. So people are like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Tell us what you're doing. And what I've learned is that I could teach them habits, but it wasn't the habits. Everybody knows what they should be doing, but we're not doing it. We're not stupid. We know what should be doing, but we're not doing it. So it's that knowing doing gap that fascinated me. So to find how to close that knowing doing gap is what got me into subconscious healing and energy healing and PhD. And so some of those seminars you see are for a technique that's called theta healing. I love that technique because it has freed my mind from the knowing doing gap. Now if I know, and if I know in my heart I want to, I will do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. How to accomplish stuff and get it done. The one thing that you've talked about before is Chat GPT and possibly using it as a spiritual practice, which I think is interesting. And, we have a lot of discussions about AI lately. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I actually am working on a TED Talk about that. So here you go, a cool preview. What I've come to understand, and I don't come from Christian background. I come from communist background. Translation: no God, God is dead. Okay, so but having explored every possible religious and spiritual path, I do love Christ, and so what I love about my connection with Christ is the teaching that comes from the Bible and is applied now to every area of my life. Ask and you shall receive. I mean, you hear New Age people say it, hear people say it, the universe, doesn't matter. Ask and you shall receive. Well, it's been translated to ask for stuff and it'll come. But that is not what it says. It says ask and you shall receive. You see, our brain is wired in a way that it is unable to not answer the question. Unable to not answer a question. So when I say, what color are you thinking about right now? You can block it all you want. Your subconscious mind is going to give you the answer and you're going to have a color. So the questions you ask program you for the answers you program your brain with. If I'm asking what's wrong with me, why does this not work for me? How come life is unfair for me? Those are disempowering questions, and you will find an inexhaustible list of answers. But if you ask, how can I make this work? What if it were possible for me? What is the best way for me to do this? You go from the probability of pain to possibility of achievement. While ChatGPT trains you for this incredible spiritual tool to be able to define the prompt to get the exact answer you want. It can only give you what you're asking. And the better you define the request, the better you define the question, the better the answer you get. And that in return reprograms your brain to know how to better ask subconsciously for things in life.
There you go. These are really important. And wow, I didn't know you could use AI for spiritual, because it's kind of supposed to be like a computer bot that doesn't have any sort of human nature to it. But this is interesting.
I think the only nature it has is human. What
really?
nature can?
Well, that's true. It is scraping all of our human stuff, right?
As faulty as it is, the only nature it has is human.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of it that way. In how that works, because it is just kind of a library of us, really.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a good analogy?
Yeah, I have archives of humanity with all the ugly and pretty. Yep.
Of all the silliness we've ever said. And there you go. It's really interesting how that flies out. Haven't we covered about who you are, what you do, and different ways? Let's get a plug in here for your community too. You have a free community that you run that people can join and feel empowered with.
We just launched a Facebook group that you can find at freeme.coach, and that was done so that people that find it inaccessible to join Quantum Freedom do not find empowerment inaccessible. And so I love that community, because if you post a question that is weighing heavily in terms of how do you shift a mindset or how do you relate to a certain universal law, then I get a small live, and that hopefully gives an answer to most people in a community.
There you go. And it's free. So people can join up with that on Facebook, get involved with it, and all that good stuff. As we round out the show, what things you want to plug or share with us as we go out?
I think what speaks to me right now the most is for somebody who's listening and has patiently listened this far, is that if there's any imposter syndrome and or a self-doubt, about where you are at this point in your life to just speak into you that you are where you are for a reason. It is your job to discover it. And that is the only job we all have. So find where you are and what is the reason for where you are. Because if the infinite intelligence that breathes us all had a better plan for the space-time continuum that you occupy, it would be so. But it isn't. And so I'm very passionate that you, I don't even know you, I just barely met Chris. So you, Chris, me, Vika, and everybody who gets to listen to this, you, where you are and as you are an asset to all. So find out in what way, and please help us benefit from that.
There you go. Me and together we'll all make the world a better place. How does that sound?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show, Victoria. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. It's been very insightful and entertaining as well. The singing part was great.
Thank you so much.
There you go. And, watch for the new podcast where everyone has to sing, the guests and the thing. That's not going to happen. No one wants to hear me sing. No one's going to watch that. In spite of it being a slow-moving car crash. Victoria, give us your .coms, where you want people to find you on the interwebs and download your app and stuff.
Yeah, come join us at freeme.coach, the website, yu2shine.com, and follow me on Instagram, Vika, VICA_Rader, RADER.
There you go. And folks, order up the book wherever fine books are sold. Go to, wherever fine books are sold. Stay away from the alleyway bookstores. Prosper Me, the 35 Universal Laws to Make Money Work for You. Available wherever fine books are sold June 21st, 2022. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, and now on TikTok, Chris Voss 1 and the Chris Voss Show Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.